Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the man with the biggest heart that I've personally ever met, leading by example, and knows that one man can make a difference with the power of many. Bring to the stage Pastor Steve Willis from Huntington, West Virginia. Before I turn this mic over to this gentleman, he launched an initiative. They say, you know, what defines a leader is leading by example. He launched an initiative. He's going to share it with you. Huntington Fights Back. So not only did he take this concept, but he's taken it to a whole new level. And like I said, please pay attention for the next 45 minutes. Okay, 10, 15 minutes, guys. Pastor Steve Willis.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Hey, it's a privilege to be with you here this afternoon. I've come from West Virginia, and you know, the reality of what we're dealing with here is I've got to go back on Monday and do another funeral. That's something that pastors get to see. You know, when you have a family member who is sick due to causes related to obesity, that's something you deal with that family member at that point in their life. But as a pastor, I see it every single day. For 20 years, I worked in youth ministry. And when I made the switch from sitting in the pulpit and telling stories, what I found out was I was spending 4 or 5 days a week, instead of trying to help people improve their lives and bring birth and life to this world, I'm spending my time in a hospital. And I told my wife, I cannot believe the amount of diseases that we're fighting because we're such a big people. It's breaking my heart. And when I traveled around, I went out to California. I was in the Pismo Beach area. And while I was there, I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think that we are the fattest people in the world. It seems like every direction I go from Huntington, West Virginia, people get thinner. And we laughed a little bit about that, but when I came back, I had a family waiting to counsel with me. And the mom and dad came in, and they were both fairly large. And they said, you know what, we're both doing all we can to make our families work, but I'm working in the evening. I don't have time to cook for my kids. My child's way overweight. My husband doesn't cook worth anything, and they were fighting back and forth about the health of their children. And both of them were too tired to work with their kids when they came home from work in the evening. Why? Because they were carrying around an extra 150 pounds in their back. And I told my wife, we have to do something about this. Being a part of a church is not just telling people about some pie in the sky, what life will be like in the ever after. God wants us to have life now, good life now. Something struck my soul when I was in a hospital, and I watched a man who was a wonderful man, worked with our children for years. He was in the hospital, and they took him back for open heart surgery. He was 200 pounds overweight. They called me back in the room I was watching. All of a sudden, one of the tubes came out, and I watched the man bleed to death in front of me. And I was coming out of the room, and I heard one of the family members say to me, I guess it was his time. And I said, no, I don't think it was. Now, that was not the time to preach, but I told them the job of the devil is to steal, kill, and destroy life. The job of the church is to give life and abundant life, that life to the full. So I told my wife, I said, I've got to address this. So I went to the leaders of our church, and I said, I've got to talk about this. I said, I've got to talk about this. They said, Steve, you can talk about any of the 7 deadly sins that you want to, except that one. You can talk about pride, lust, envy, murder, greed, hate, whatever you want to talk about. But if you talk about this one, people will be offended and they'll leave the church. And I said, guys, I am sick and tired of watching people die. I've got to address this. And I said, will you just pray about this for a month? They came back to me 4 weeks later. They said, Steve, if it's your last week in the church, we believe God wants you to do this. You get up and preach it. Do it with a feather, not with a hammer. But you get up and tell how you see our people dying. I got up in church. Well, I got to take it back. That was on a Sunday. I was preparing through the week to get up the following Sunday. I get up on Friday morning. I look at the newspaper, and it said that Huntington, West Virginia, was indeed the fattest city in the world. I had proof from the Center for Disease Control. That was on a Friday. I got up Sunday morning. I preached that message. All over the nation, they were coming to take pictures of fat people in West Virginia with all their teeth falling out. And one member from our church called the local television station, and a radio station, and said, our church is doing something about this. And so we started working out. We did our own faith and fitness program that we started developing. And we weren't losing as much weight as what we needed to because we were just doing exercise. And I told my wife, we have to address the nutritional habits of our people. But I said, I don't want to do. Now listen, honest to God, I prayed this on a Sunday night. I prayed, God, please send somebody that'll help us. I don't know anything about nutrition. Monday morning, Jamie Olivers and the producers from ABC called me, said, we want to come to Huntington and help you, Pastor Steve, make a difference not only in Huntington, West Virginia, but all over the nation. Now, I want to tell you this. I heard a man tell me one time that he said, Steve, when you do a good thing, people will listen to you. When you do great things, people will come to you. Not only did Jamie Oliver come, since that time, just a few months ago, I've been on Good Morning America, ABC News, Nightline, Larry King Live, David Letterman. I mean, all kinds of CNN News, ABC, NBC. People come to me, what are you doing? I just left a film crew from Sweden in my office, okay? This is what I want you to hear. People know when you say the hard things, if you say it in love, but you say the truth, people will listen to what you say. And they will love you for it. They really will. So listen to me, my friends. This thing's flashing red at me. Tell me I got to quit. All right, listen. Listen to me, my friends. I honestly believe that it's God's work, what you're doing working here with this company. God does not want to see the people of America. We're the most obese, out of shape, unhealthy nation in the world. That is not something God would want. If God grows it on a tree, if he grows it in the ground, it's good. Visalis has taken those things, put it in something that is affordable, and that's why they asked me to come here to talk about the Community Challenge. We have really gotten on board with this. We found out how many kids aren't getting the meals that they need. Just in the last 3 months, we have fed over 30,000 meals to needy children in the Huntington area. Over 30,000, my friend. By the end of the summer, we've already raised the money to feed 50,000 meals to children. Thank you very much, Blake, and the guys from the team for making that happen. All right, now I got to wrap it up. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to hear right now. The church needs to be a part of this. Listen to me. Listen to me. A lot of times in marketing programs like yourself, pastors run from these things. I've had other pastors, Steve, how do you do that? I don't know how you do that. You get involved in these systems, and they've got. When you have people dying, listen to me. When you have people dying, don't you believe that God would have you go to someone who is struggling with their weight, and you're sitting there, oh, I don't know, I'm afraid they might be offended. I don't know if they'll like me. You need to step into their life and save them. You can't do that. My friends, you've got to believe. God bless you. Have a great afternoon.